The day after Katharine Hepburn appeared on my show, I called her to thank her again, and she was sort of in a state. She wasn't familiar with television, obviously, it was her first time on, and she certainly wasn't familiar with the power and the impact that a talk show particularly can wield. She said she had been out, that people had yelled at her from windows and yelled at her from buses. She said that people bowed to her on the street and thanked her for the best evening of their life. All these things. And she said, I guess they were college boys. They started chanting, "Hey, Kate, you were great," and I didn't know what to do. Pardon the imitation, I'm not Martin Short. But the interesting thing was that, in a way, all of this helped her career. That day she was telling me about all the reactions. She said, "You know, really, Dick, she asked if she could call me Dick, can you imagine? She said, I really think we shouldn't show the second show because you've made me into a goddamn saint." Well, I was glad to do it. Glad to help her career in any way I could. Actually, I did. Later, some relatives said that it created some interest in her that had died in certain places and was hot again. And on the show, by sheer chance, it crossed my mind to say, "Are you sorry you've never worked with Laurence Olivier?" And immediately she came back with, "Well, neither of us is dead yet." The truth of that was borne out when somebody, from seeing that, put together a movie, which the two of them did. So that's another little contribution I've made to the arts. Well, here is the second Katharine Hepburn show, and we are on October 3rd, 1973, New York City.
Hi, I'm Dick Cavett. I hope you saw last night's show. I was having a conversation with the amazing Katharine Hepburn, and there was just no way to stop at the end of only 90 minutes, and you will see the rest of that conversation tonight. I told last night how this came about. Never having been on television, she agreed to come into the studio one afternoon recently for a test only to check things out, see how it felt. And while we were doing that, she suddenly said, "Let's just go ahead and do it." And startled and delighted and sitting here in my shirt sleeves, I agreed, and we just started talking. And like you, I suspect, I have always wanted to have a conversation with Katharine Hepburn, or at least hear one. And I think that one reason she did this, I know, is what she explained last night, her belief in the American Film Theater series. It's a series of remarkable new films which will begin showing around the country on a subscription basis at the end of this month. She stars in one of these, Edward Albee's A Delicate Balance. I think she also did this because she likes to make herself do things that challenge her. We'll be back in a moment with Katharine Hepburn. Here we are again. What are you laughing?
I'm laughing
what are we
because
doing
I just
here?
looked at my feet and I realized I should have made them up. I hit 'em.
You're the first person who ever came on only half made up or whatever. Your feet are wonderful, if I say so myself. Why is there such a space between your second and third toe?
I don't understand that. That's just been happening lately.
Has that ever been revealed to
Well,
the
I don't know
American
what it is.
public?
I don't inquire. I can still move.
Okay.
Yes. Don't ask about
I'm
anything
trying
that
to-
happens to you as long as it works as time passes.
Use it, as they
Don't
say.
find out why. Use it.
People always said that you and Tracy are different styles of actor, and yet you work so well together. Supposedly, people whose styles
I've
clash
copied
wouldn't
him,
work.
so I resent that.
Yeah.
Right down. No, I think he's the style.
Well, there's always that mystery. They can never account for the greatness of the two of you because supposedly two different kinds of actors can't work together, but you work like
I don't
a
think,
dream.
no, I don't think that's true. I just think he's better than I am. Because he comes, but it's the same method. He is my ideal.
So when you...
I mean, what he does, I would really like to be able to do. And I learned a great deal from him. Now, I took a different a step away from him when I did a lot of the classics, because I go mad when English actors are thought to be better than American actors.
Yeah, I
Because
resent
I think
that,
American
too.
actors are better than English actors, but I don't think most of us know how to speak English.
I'm glad to
And
hear you
I think
say
they're
that.
one up on us there. But I think we have great you know, style and power, but I think the language itself, we really have I think if you think of the voices in America, the voices, for instance, when I went to school, when I went to Bryn Mawr, we were taught speech.
Yeah.
We were made very conscious of how we sounded. My mother and father spoke very well, so that what I heard was pretty good. And if I didn't sound attractive to them, I was criticized by them. Now, and in your very expensive schools, which presumably talking is one of the big things in life, isn't it?
Yeah.
And now on television, talking is a total necessity. Now, Roosevelt against Wilkie, Roosevelt could talk so much better. He had a charming voice. Look at the power of Winston Churchill's voice. I mean, a great voice. You hear, some people look at me, they'd have no idea who I am, but the minute they hear the voice, so that a voice has tremendous power, and I really think in the schools we should start again. Why should we sound unpleasant and be a joke to the rest of the human race?
Yes, and the English take pride in criticizing us on that, and they have some, of course, great actors, but I don't think they had anybody who could do what
I
Tracy
don't think they're
could
any
do.
better than we are. But I think because they've done the classics,
Yeah.
and this is why I did the classics, and Lawrence Langner said to me, Kate, if you don't, you're going to be considered limited. So rather late in life, I thought, well, he's right. Now I'll start to make a fool of myself.
That was a red
again.
flag to you, actually.
Well, I think again, you know, we must proceed, we must develop, we must improve ourselves. You can't just stand still. That's the trouble with a lot of our product, is played down to the lowest common denominator. It's played down to the audience, and the audience doesn't want to be played down to. They'll receive it, they'll laugh. The Americans are an enormously polite people, but they want to be raised up. They've got more money now. They want to improve. A father doesn't want to see his children just, you know, travel along at the same clip that he did if they can improve themselves.
Have you ever gotten really sore at an audience? I remember once at Stratford, someone snapped your picture during a performance with a flash bulb, and you stopped and said, there will be no more of that or we won't go on. And it was one of the most dramatic moments I've ever seen in the theater.
Well, I did that once in Coco, too. I said, now here we have someone who is willing to destroy everyone else's good time in order to have a photograph to take home. So why don't we just stop? We haven't gone very far. We can begin again and let her take as many pictures as she would like. That's why I would have been a great school principal.
Oh, I have a feeling that woman was never seen or heard of again. Could you, suppose you just finished the movie Summertime, let's say, and then you go right into a play, or maybe you went to Shakespeare from that, I don't remember. What do you tone down, or what do you tone up
I don't think there's any difference.
Really? Well,
None
that
at
answers
all.
that question, because I'm so tired of that old
Because
question.
to me there was no difference, and to Spencer there was no difference at all. Because it's concentration. But if you and I are speaking, I have a rather loud voice anyway.
That's
Yes,
different.
and I'm loud. But I mean, the voice, you would, and then you are aware when an audience is quiet and when you're looking at them. You don't have to pitch a thing up, even in a huge theater. I don't care particularly for the loudspeaker, but I think it's necessary because everybody is so used to hearing it loud now. The music is loud, everything was sort of stepped up, you know.
Yeah, a screen actor will fail in the theater without voice, but other than that, you don't think there's a major
I don't think,
difference?
no, because I think it's concentration,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah. One more thing. Did Tracy ever resent the idea that people would say, well, sure, he's great, but he can't play Richard III and he can't play Oedipus?
No, I don't
and
think he thought anything about it.
Yeah.
I don't think he thought anything about it. Would never have occurred to him to. I think it was, to me, it was a great pity that he didn't do certain of those things, but he did what he wanted to do and what suited him. And I think had he stayed in the theater, he undoubtedly would have done many of those different things. But a lot of the actors at that time, the style was to go to Hollywood and sign a long-term deal. And he needed the money. He had a boy who wasn't too well, and he just needed the money.
Yeah.
And it suited him. He liked the warm climate.
Yeah.
I liked the cold climate. And then I was so tormented in the theater, it frightened me so, that I thought, well, I must come back and overcome that. And it took me my whole life. I mean, I even did that in Coco. How I could have been insane enough to do Coco when I couldn't obviously sing at all, you know. I study singing. I still study it. Fascinates me. It's taught me a lot about talking. And a certain about singing I studied with a woman named Sue Seaton, who really, and it's very difficult, the voice, because you see, you wonder, me.
Yeah.
Am I going to be able to make a sound when I'm petrified?
Yeah. Did you ever lose a part to Betty Davis?
Not that I know of.
Yeah.
But I mean, I might have.
Do you like her?
Yes, I do. I think she's awfully good.
Yeah.
But I knew someone was, I played what I wanted to play, by and large. When I ever did a thing because I felt sorry for the studio, because they had to pay me or something, then I was sorry that I'd done it. And one or two things I did because I disliked someone, and I knew that they were going to be offered it if I didn't do it. So I did it, and I was always lousy in it. My reason, I mean, you have to really want to do it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Fundamentally, well, you have to think of every reason why not to do something, and if you can't give yourself a satisfactory answer, then you must just do it, mustn't you?
Yeah,
I mean, you
so.
mustn't sit back. You can't just be no, because it's all scary.
Were you among the people considered to play Scarlett O'Hara?
Yes.
I never knew that.
Yes. The book was sent to me first by the publishers. And I gave it to someone who was the head of RKO. All these people will have to be nameless to read. And he gave it to his chief sort of staff. And they read it and said, it's not a sympathetic part for Kate. And then when David bought it, it was going to be directed by my great friend George Cukor, who again thought that it was wrong for me. Then after they'd looked for 2 years, George thought it was right for me. And it was at this point that my career had done the most dismal failure. And I had gone from offers of $150,000 and a percentage and a piece of everything down to $10,000 for a picture, or no offers at all. In 6 weeks, my career dropped that far, just before I did the Philadelphia story. Well, you probably weren't born.
I never think of you
Yes.
as
Being a failure, well, I've had my share. And so David Selznick sent for me. And he said, we'd like to have you do a test. I said, now, David, I said, you brought me into the business, you and George, and I'm not going to do a test. You know how I'd play it. And you've gone out on a limb to find an unknown girl. Mm-hmm. And you can't tell me you're going to be stupid enough not to find one. So we'll have this, well, let us say this, that if you get within 2 days of shooting, and the man who's doing the costumes has dressed me many times, Walter Plunkett. Yeah. He could do the first dress in 48 hours. You send for me. He said, I have to begin the picture by a certain time. You send for me. And of course, because I said, you wouldn't have to pay me anything. And I know you well enough to know you wouldn't pay me anything. And you just pay me off. It would be very cheap. And that would break my heart, and I have to protect myself from incidents which would destroy me. And I don't want to have it announced, you see, and then sort of whatever happened to Katharine Hepburn, you know, when they found Vivian.
When you see that film now, do you have pangs?
No, I haven't seen it since. I never have pangs about anything.
Once it's over,
that's it. Not my nature.
Yeah.
No pang.
No regrets.
No pang. Well, I mean, no pang. Pang is a waste of time.
If they said, Miss Hepburn, we need celluloid, and we're going to have to melt down all the films you've made except one, could you pick one?
Oh, I'd say melt them all down.
Okay. Good answer. We have a message, and we'll be right back. How do you decide if they're asking you to do something too dangerous or not? I know that there are actors who take pride in the fact that they fell down those stairs or they fell off that horse.
Yes, actors are sweet and silly.
Yeah.
And I'm one of them.
Have you ever had a debate with yourself where you thought, oh, hell...
No, I learned to ride side saddle for Jack Ford. And Mary of Scotland, and rode at a full run under the limb of a tree, and heard Jack's voice way in the distance say, Kate, duck! And I ducked, otherwise I would have been as dead as a doornail. And then I fell into the canal for David Lane. I'd walk backward in summertime and fall into a canal, and of course the canal is a sewer.
I can't
And,
believe that.
Well, this is
I
how
know what's
stupid
in those
I am.
sewers,
Yes,
in
just
those
stupid,
canals. Yeah.
stupid
What
of
they
me.
politely call raw
and
sewage.
and I used to go around, because I hate to wear clothes. You know, I'd wear my old rags, and then I'd put the makeup on in the street, and leave my hair in curlers and have a sombrero on or something, so that I could get dressed and made up. I made up 5 minutes, you know, dressed 5 minutes, so that then I didn't have to sit and get exhausted. And what I did was, I would go around the community and knock on the door and say, I beg your pardon, could I change my clothes in your front hall? And practically always they would say yes, and sometimes they'd give me a room and bath. So when I knew I was going to have to fall into the canal, I cased the joint very carefully, you see, well trained in my youth.
Of course.
To know a good house from a bad one. And
All those years as a cat burglar.
Yes, all those years. And so a woman had a tub waiting, everything. And I thought, well, now I can't catch any disease. So the audience was told very carefully, Miss Hepburn is doing this on purpose. She's an expert swimmer, and so forth. So I backed up, just as if I were backing up off this stage. Well, then I saw the movie. My feet went up in the air.
Yeah.
My mouth opened wide, my eyes opened wide, and I never thought of my eyes.
Ooh.
I brushed my teeth, I washed my mouth, I did all the things that one would imagine, and I never thought of my eyes, and I've had the eye infection ever since.
You've never been
Never
able
got
to
over
shake
it.
the infection?
You
yet,
never
then?
can. You never can.
And wasn't anybody advising you you were silly to do this?
No. Oh, no. They'd never advise you that you're silly, because then they have to hire somebody to do it for
It'll
you.
look better.
And it doesn't look like anything. I mean, then you can't really do the scene.
I had heard
That's
that.
one of the hazards of the business, I think.
I've seen that film several times. First time I saw it, I sat through it again. And I
He's
thought
a brilliant man, David Lean.
David Lean may be my favorite.
Oh, he's brilliant. Nobody in the world like him. Brilliant man.
You
He
ever-
knows more about film, he really, but they're 100% concentration, you know.
Yeah. Are you the kind that ever storm off the set furious?
No, I stay there and fight it out.
Do you like that kind of behavior on the part of the...
I don't storm off.
Has anybody
Because
ever...
the man who goes off is lost.
Yeah.
I mean, unless he keeps walking. And you can't keep walking if you're in it.
Anybody ever walk out on you in a
So
scene?
you have to end. No. No, I've found people amazingly amiable. People are nervous, you know. I think most actors are absolute angels. I think all the sort of bad behavior comes from terror. I think now, I mean, I was brought up in a school where once you said you'd do it, you did it. You know, now I think this is too bad. And once you say you're going to be an actor, then presumably if you're going to do the thing 8 times a week or whatever you're supposed to do, you really have to, it's a prison sentence. Because you got to play if you're sick. Because if you don't play and you are a big star, it's an enormous disappointment to the audience.
Yeah.
And I was brought up to play. I played for a month and a half with pneumonia on tour in Much Ado, and couldn't get rid of it. I had to have a temperature of about 102 or 3 every time I started. Now, I'm tough.
Yes.
And I have a very strong constitution, and I'm perfectly willing to do nothing but the one thing. You see, most people won't settle for that.
How do you mean that?
Well, I mean, most people think they can lead 2 or 3 lives. I don't think you can. I think, at least I can't. It takes enough out of me so that I can't do anything else.
Did you ever want to chuck it all? Even on those nights when you were so sick with pneumonia and you had to go on stage? Just
Oh,
think,
yes.
It's got to
Oh,
be
sure.
an easier way to
Oh,
make a
sure.
living.
Oh, sure. But I think that goes, that is discipline, and I think that without discipline, there's no way to live. I mean, there's one person you can correct in life, this I've learned, and that's yourself. I can't worry about your character, but I can improve my own character.
You're not the kind, then, to say, Jack Barrymore, you're drinking yourself to
No,
death.
no.
Why don't you
no,
knock it off?
No.
You're not
Not
gonna do that.
unless I could really be of some help. If I could help him, and I felt that I wished to, then I would dedicate myself to that. That's an all-time job. To take care of somebody is an all-time job. To bring up a bunch of kids and try to make them, it's an all-time job. So what are the poor women going to do? You see, they're not the men. It's an all-time job for the man to make the living. Now, I certainly think that their job opportunities ought to be equal. No question about that. I can't see the difference between any of us. Can you?
Can you imagine?
I can't see the difference between any race, any color, any sex. But I do think that the women, as opposed to the men, are in a spot because they have the children and they have much more real interest in them than the men do.
By nature?
In a few instances, I think by nature.
Yeah.
And if you haven't got it by nature, and I haven't got it by nature at all, then don't have them.
Yeah.
You know, do what you're going to do, and do it. Don't do them both, because you just get split in half.
But there must
You
have been...
can give, you see, a woman can give a man enormous confidence, and we all lack it. Or a man can give a woman enormous confidence and stay at home and do the cooking. Somebody's got to give somebody some confidence somewhere. There is not just one way to kill a cat. There are many ways that are open, but you can't have it all. You cannot have it all. And this notion that you can have it all, you can't have it all.
But to be able to realize that at an early age is a pretty good
No,
trick.
I don't think so, unless you're stupid. You open your eyes, you know. I mean, I realized that at an early age.
But the
And I settled, I knew absolutely, I thought, here's my mother. She did a lot, but she had 5 in help in the house. Nobody has any help now. The women are really up against it.
Your mother had how many children?
She had 6.
And yet she was very interested
Well,
in
she
birth
did a lot
control.
of talking on birth control, a lot of talking on women's suffrage. And when she started out, she said she could remember wheeling Tom and me in a baby carriage and thinking, well, here I am. I've got a BA and an MA degree. I'm supposed to be intelligent, and here I am. Am I a nursemaid to the rising generation? Now, Dad, who was a pretty smart guy, felt this discontent. And he said, you know, there's a woman named Pankhurst talking in town. Well, Pankhurst was the name of the great English suffragette who was speaking here.
Was it Sylvia or
Sylvia Emmeline Pankhurst was the great one. Sylvia Pankhurst, I think, was the sister, the daughter. I'm not sure. I think Sylvia Pankhurst. Can't tell you.
Anyway.
Can't tell you. One was Sylvia and one was Emmeline. And she used to visit us when I was a kid. And the mother then made these speeches, but she was there, and Daddy was there at tea time. He didn't become a victim of being a surgeon, you know. He was there, and they were there. And I suppose it's why I never went out to dinner. You know, we led very home life, very strong. And that house has just gone out of, I gave it to the family, gave it to the University of Hartford just 2 years ago.
People whose lives went to hell in Hollywood, like Jean Harlow and all, did they in all cases have no home life?
I don't know. I mean, why somebody's life goes to hell, one doesn't know, does one?
I guess
I mean,
not. It'd
if
be
you're
nice to
awfully
know.
wise. I had every possible advantage, and if my life had gone to hell, I would have had to be a dithering idiot. You know, really.
To have blown it.
Because I had every advantage. And I had money enough also to be able to say no. I didn't have anywhere near as much money as people think, but I had money enough to be able to say no. And I was smart enough here to get one of the first contracts which had a theater clause in it. And since my first pictures were a great hit, the theater clause was an absolute whip hand, and I could get whatever I wanted.
What is theater clause?
Theater clause was to come back and do a play.
Oh,
And
you
that
could
was
leave-
unknown in those days.
Yeah.
And
And you fought that
that was
out
very
and got it.
important. And I said I won't do it unless I get $1,500 a week. I was getting 50 at the time. And they offered me everything. David Selznick did, right up, you know, $550, $750, $1,000, $1,250, and I said no, thank you, because I thought they got to know that you mean what you say. So
Yeah.
don't argue, take it or leave it, do it. Now that took a lot of nerve, and I called up Dad and Mother, and I said, well, they've come up to $1,250, and I'm going to turn it down. And Dad said, that's right. And then for a lot of the time, I handled my own business. And when you handle your own business and don't have an agent, that's the way you have to do.
Gee, that's great.
Sort of yes or
Yeah.
no. But I think that's true of a lot of other things, because I think life is thrilling in every possible direction. But I know that I can't have it all. I
Yep.
cannot have it all. I haven't had it all. I've had a wonderful life. a wonderful time, but I haven't had everything.
I'm going through that now at my age. I'm thinking there's so many careers I'm not going to have, so many things I'm not going to read, so many things places I'm never going to see, and it sort of paralyzes you.
Oh, no, no, no. Then do what you do. Just do it the best you can. That's what's important. And if it doesn't interest you enough and you have enough money, stop and do something else.
What can you say to comfort the people who didn't make it? You know the old B-movie scene of usually a British actress is making up for a great star, and a ragged old lady comes in and says, "You don't remember me, but I used to be in this chair, and I had this dressing room, but I didn't go over, and you've got it all." You know that scene's probably.
I don't think that ever happens. I never.
Maybe only in the movies. But you know, there are people who must wonder, why the hell did Hepburn make it and I didn't? I mean, look.
Well, that's a great question.
I'm
Why
her
the hell
size,
did
I'm
I?
her.
And better looking, and can sing.
But it isn't all luck. People take
A lot of
comfort
it's
in
luck.
that.
A lot of it is luck.
Yeah.
You see, I've survived a long, long time. If you have the right kind of looks, your right kind of voice, you kind of stand for something just a little bit new, and then you survive, and you change. You see, most people, I figure, have a reservoir that you walk into town with your little box of goodies, you know, and this is me, and this is what I have to offer. Then, after a while, you've sold all those goodies, and if you don't go away and fill up another box, you're just repeating. Then you're just growing old, and then for, you know, certain people, there's a time when you're switching from, you're too old to do this, and you're too young to do that, and you have to figure out, what are you, and what really interests you? You see, we're all creatures of habit, and we get in a rut, and we run down that rut happy as bugs. Well, sometimes you're bloody sick of what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you haven't got the brains to stop. You know? And you could change. That's why, really about this thing, I thought, can you think of any really good reason not to do it? Except that, oh, I'm so shy, or oh, my private life, or oh, are they going to find out how boring I am? You know? And that is the only reason now, in a sense, not to do television. Because it certainly is a method of expression.
It certainly is.
Which, you know, has to be accepted as these things come along.
How do you feel about having your political views known? Someone with your strength, you must be constantly asked
I'm
to
not
come
much
out
of a politician. I always
and
just
say-
say be on the affirmative and liberal side. And on the
Affirmative
new
and-
side, yes.
And
Yes,
liberal
don't
side.
be a no person.
Yeah.
And yet have horse sense. My family were very, very left of center. But
Is it-
I was always quoting them. I'm not a great political expert myself.
Did you suffer from that in your community?
Yes, very much
Did you?
so. Very snug. That's why I got the old chip on the shoulder and forged ahead, you know, because I thought I'll show them.
And you
I
did.
think so. I think it's a great help.
And you did.
To be loved is very demoralizing.
Could you have been happy? Oh, yeah, I'm going to want to stop and think about that. Could you be happy in a repertory company had you played every part you wanted and never made a movie? I guess what I'm asking is the fame important that comes from being an international film star? How important is that fame? Which
I don't think you can answer that. You never, if you have fame, you never feel that you have fame if you have the brains of a flea.
Better
Because
not to think
fame
about it.
is something that's over back of you.
Yeah.
It ain't ahead.
Yeah, good.
Not ahead at all. And I mean, if you've done it, that's great, but what are you going to do tomorrow? Is the only thing that matters.
Yeah. We must take a message today. Miss Hepburn, could you have happily married Humphrey Bogart?
It never occurred to me.
I don't-
I did. Well, didn't I marry him
You
in the
did.
African Queen?
That's right. Every time I
Yeah.
see that, I think, I wonder if they could have been happy together. Was he a funny man to be around, lighthearted, serious?
He was serious. He was enormously fair. He was very much of a gent, very well born, frightfully good manners.
Not a tough guy.
Not at all. The exact opposite.
And people
The exact
constantly-
opposite. But he was one of the few actors, he really liked his profession. He really enjoyed winning the Academy Award. He really was proud of being an actor. He was doing what he wanted to do, and I've asked this. Betty McCall is a good friend of mine, and I think he was well trained. He was proud of it. This is not true of all actors. I think Spencer would have liked to have been something else.
I swear that I read somewhere once that Mr. Tracy said this is an odd, rather uncomfortable profession for a man.
I think he thought so, and I think Bogey was not at all. Bogey was very secure within himself. Bogey drank a lot, but I think he just liked to drink.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it was an escape or anything else. And he was on that trip to Africa. Betty was with him, and I was alone. He'd say, "Are you comfortable? You feel all right? You happy? Hotel all right?" And I'd say, "Yes," you know.
Did you get down in real African rivers and waters and
Yes,
take chances
yes.
on getting bitten by various things?
Well, we weren't in the water because there's a disease called Bell's hearts here, so that you cannot get wet. It's a terrible sort of inflammation of the kidneys or something like that.
That you can catch from that?
Yes, that you can catch. That's why Edwina Booth died. You know, she did a picture 1,000 years ago, and she caught that very bad disease. They just said to me, keep out of them. If you get your feet wet, dry them and powder them. Just this bug apparently enters any body opening pores, anything.
When you were fixing the boat and all of that stuff, then that was in a studio?
A lot of that was in the studio.
In a tank?
Yes,
Yeah.
but not practically all of it we did down there. I suppose, you know, the boat got wet on the inside. And John Huston, who was doing it, didn't know a hell of a lot about river traffic, you know, and the current would take us careening down. And when we were going on a raft, you know, in mock-ups of part of the boat, why, we'd get swept way over to one side, and everybody would say duck, and we'd lie flat. Otherwise, we would have been scraped right into the crocodile pit or something.
You were
so it was,
heavily insured, I assume.
I have no idea. But everybody was sick.
Didn't those leeches...
The big joke was on me because I was rather self-righteous, and I thought, well, I'm traveling with two drunks. I better not drink anything. So I drank lots of the water, lots of the water.
Everything you're not supposed to do?
John never got sick. Houston never got sick. Bogey never got sick. And I nearly died of the dysentery because the water was poison. Shows how sensible they were.
You and your health measures. Weren't those leeches...
That was really funny. One episode there, I'm always, you know, busy getting to know people in a community that I know I'm never going to be in again. Yeah. So I made an arrangement. I used to walk to work, and that first shot in the church, John looked at the church, and it was they were Methodists, and they don't have steeples. And he said, well, I want a steeple, because he'd panned down. So Methodist or no Methodist, he waited while they built a steeple. In the meantime, I got to know a lot of people in the community, and they have wonderful hard wood there. So I went to a lumber place, and I got a lot of samples of wood, because my family were interested in wood, to take back, you know. And the man said, wouldn't you like to see a tree felled? I said, I certainly would. So we made a date. By this time, the picture started. My dysentery has also begun. And I'm playing the organ, and they broke the record, and the only thing I knew how to play was Lead Kindly Light. So I was playing Lead Kindly Light, and their sense of what is a note is different than ours, so that it was total discord. They'd found two black mambas in the ladies' john, and so I couldn't go in there, snakes. And the time of my watching the tree felled, which was 4 o'clock, because we lost the sun by then, was coming up. And finally I said to John, I have to go home. And now I said, I have a date which I have to keep. Will you keep it for me? And he said, Kate, we'll keep your date. We'll go and see them cut the tree down. And I said, be enthusiastic about it, because the man and say that I'm dying. So they all went to see the tree cut down. They drove out into the forest in jeeps. Got there, the tree was half sawed through. A terrible lightning storm came up, hit the tree nearly fell on all of them, instead of being pulled the other direction. They got soaked. They came home, and I was lying, dying, you know, of the dysentery, with my little black man watching me and being sure that I was going to leave this earth. And they all came in drunk. They went to the man's house who owned this lumber place, drank all his liquor, took all his clothes, and came home in dry ones and waked me up.
They kept the date, nearly got killed, and you stayed home.
Yes, even Bogey behaved badly then.
How would you have explained that to their survivors? One second. Were those real leeches on Bogart?
No, no leech would. I said to Bogey, surely you're a man, you're this great strong man, just take a leech and put it on you.
Yeah.
They were repulsive looking. So he said, not me, I'm not going to put any leech. Well, you know, Bogey was pretty skinny. So everybody was making things and sticking them on Bogey, and they just fall off. He was so bony, every move, nothing would stick to him. Finally, they got something that stuck, but it wasn't a real leech.
See, they looked like leeches, and they've occurred in my dreams many times since seeing that film. We'll be right back. I'm talking with Katharine Hepburn, a lady you can also see in American film theaters' A Delicate Balance by Edward Albee. Is there a kind of actor you can't work with? You know what I mean?
No, I don't know what you mean, Mr. Cavett. What do you mean?
I meant, well, there was a time when there were people who were saying, oh, all those method people, I would never act with them, and that sort of thing. Or there were people who say, I'd never act with Brando, you know, and yet, see, I don't think of Brando as a limited actor, but
I don't think he is a limited actor. He's a brilliant actor.
Yeah.
Maybe a slightly limited person, but I don't think he's a brilliant actor.
Yeah. Did that offend you when an Oscar was turned down for a social
I just thought it was silly. Why not withdraw your name? Mm-hmm. Just withdraw your name and nobody'd vote for you. Just dumb.
Well, maybe the idea came after he'd been...
oh, no, then that's foolish. Then you see whether you're nominated or withdraw. It doesn't make any sense. It's just silly.
You would have preferred what George C. Scott did, just said, take
no,
me
I
out
think
of
he
it,
was, well, he said it before he played the part, you know. He should have, you're either in a business or you're not in a business, and don't complicate it, and you're not that important. Nobody is. It's just foolish.
Yeah.
I think I should go and pick him up. I should have gone and pick him up, but I really just didn't. But I don't admire myself for it. I'm not that stupid.
And besides
and
that,
the big moral stand if I'm not in the running for a prize. Oh, well.
Well, what would you have said if we weren't on television?
No, I wouldn't have said it.
Something like, oh, Joseph Cotton is in Delicate Balance
yes.
with you, and
people
are going to...
lovely performance. He's absolutely wonderful.
I thought maybe he had quit acting.
No,
I
no,
haven't
no,
seen
no.
that much, and,
no, he never did act. He always just does it.
I saw you.
And he's great.
Yeah.
He's great. He gives a wonderful performance. True as true.
I saw you the other night in Philadelphia Story. Do you get plagued with questions of like, for example, when you get pushed in the face by Cary Grant, you go flat on your back. Did you hurt yourself? What'd you hit?
Broke my back. Been broken ever since.
Are you kidding?
I don't even remember it.
Don't you know that scene where you come out with the golf clubs and you throw them down and smash them down?
That's right at the beginning, yeah.
Yeah, and he comes back and he just pushes you in the face and you fall like a tree. It's just wham. Didn't you hurt yourself? Maybe.
No, I don't think so. I'm a pretty good athlete. Yeah. Didn't bother me. I don't even remember it.
You don't remember it?
No, I don't remember it.
It's a wonderful movie. Have you ever seen it?
It is?
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, I saw it.
Yeah. So you don't remember that
Some
fall?
of them I don't see.
Maybe
no, I don't remember
hit
that
your head
fall.
so hard that you've forgotten it.
No, no, I don't think so. I just...
Are you sorry you never acted with Olivier?
Well, neither of us is dead yet. Even though you may think so.
Wait a minute. Wait, now.
I speak for Larry as well as for myself.
I'm terrible.
That's all right. Don't blush.
Let me retake.
You'll be as red as I am in a minute.
Are you? Oh, how could you? Are you sorry that you have never yet acted with Olivier? Yet? No, I don't know why I did that. Of course not.
Well, you thought it.
You've still got a few good laps left in you, as you said earlier.
A few good laps
you
or
can still get around the track.
Oh. Thank you very much. You're very encouraging, Mr. Cavett.
Well,
I appreciate that.
As long as we're on the subject of time and mortality, I've never heard a film actor say, the reason I make movies is that people will see me 100 years from now.
Oh.
And it seems to me that would be one of the
no,
great...
I don't mind at all whether they remember me 1 minute. It's a great business. The greatest there is, thrilling. I don't know why they pay you. It's fascinating, fascinating.
It's great to hear you say that.
Oh, yes. You get to travel, you get to do fascinating things, You get to do some pretty boring ones at times,
Yeah.
but most of those you can rise above.
But the immortality idea of film being
That
there...
is of no
in-
interest to me
in
whatsoever.
the year 2050
No,
and all.
no, and I can't imagine anybody being dumb enough to be interested.
Yeah.
I think the world goes on, you know, and I think that everything becomes different.
Is there any chance, I suppose, that, you know, when we look at a movie that was made now 40 years ago, they look silly. Is there any
The
chance that
divorcement. Now,
today's...
just a minute. I'm 40 years ago.
50.
Yes, you'd have to go up.
If yeah, if
They
you-
don't look silly to me. And Lillian Gish, Mary Pickford, a lot of those pictures, a lot of the comedies.
I didn't realize that 40 years ago was that recent then. I meant to say when you
It's
look
1973, and I started in 1932. That's 41 years ago.
Wow.
That gets in everything. And some of them were dull and some of them were interesting. And I think that's true of, you look at it maybe with a different point of view. You look at silent pictures with a different point of view because they are different. But some of them are thrilling, I think.
Well,
I think it's a great medium.
let me sharpen my point, as they say. There is film of Duza, for example, but they say it looks ludicrous, or is it of Bernhardt? But that was in the early
Who
days
does
of
it
film.
look
but
ludicrous to? It might not look ludicrous to me.
That's interesting. You might see something.
Well, I would see her, and I would see, I mean, you're stupid if you're influenced by a costume, or you're influenced by the fact that the mechanics of the thing weren't as well thought out then. Now we're very well protected. I hope.
Yeah. But I guess there is. I was just wondering, is there any way that a film like Summertime or African Queen would ever look dated? I can't imagine that it would. I can't see that it would, because it just seems timeless and it seems right, and it doesn't.
Well, I think yes, and I think the type of story that we did then is different. I mean, we were doing sort of hero stories, weren't we, and heroine stories. That wasn't exactly heroine, but it was the story of a woman. Now we're doing the deeply troubled sex life of most of us, and I find this a bit dull.
Yeah. Are there films you won't go to because you know?
No, I have no sense of virtue, but I'm just sick of whether somebody's impotent or whether, you know, I should think he would be impotent considering the life he's led. I think it's reasonable to think that at 40 he's impotent and has a problem. And I can't feel that his problem is terribly interesting to me, you know.
Yes.
I'm sure it's very interesting to him.
If not obsessive.
Well, he's been obsessed with the subject, so he's died out.
Yeah. Well, let me go back a minute for one thing. Were there colonies in Hollywood when you went out there? I know there was an English colony, and then I've heard that there was a Russian colony.
I don't know anything about it. I never went out.
You didn't join in
Never
on
went
any of
out anywhere ever except to George Cukor's house.
I'm not sure that isn't why you survived.
No, that's not true. I think Hollywood was a wonderful place, so don't try to lure me into,
Knocking
you know,
it?
knocking it. No,
No.
because it doesn't make any difference where it's done. It was a brilliant group of people.
Yeah.
And they led a fascinating life. And they were dumb enough to turn down television. So another group took the ball and ran in a certain direction, and the world changed.
But suppose someone had said to you, "Oh, come on, Kate, you got to loosen up now. I know you got to work tomorrow, but let's go out and get drunk and sniff a little cocaine," and that's what everybody's doing.
I don't believe everybody's doing that in the first place, and certainly I wouldn't do it, because I like to feel good and healthy.
Yeah.
And I think that's a boa.
Was there?
And I've got plenty of energy without it.
Yeah.
Cold sober, I find myself absolutely fascinating.
You realize that an audience has trickled in here since we've started talking.
Off the street.
Yeah, we're drawing them off the street. But you've destroyed a lot of myths for me tonight. There weren't lecherous old goats waiting for the fresh
I've never
young
had a
girl
man
off
make
the...
a pass at me in my whole life,
Oh.
unless he was drunk.
Oh.
Then he would have thought better of it the next time, and I helped him home and departed.
I cannot believe
Never
that.
had a man make a pass at me.
But
Never.
what about all those nasty producers who said, "Well, come in, young lady"?
No,
and,
no, never, ever. Never, ever. Nonsense.
I don't know why I say I can't believe that. Let me change that to I can believe that, because not only because it implies that you're
Now that
a
you've
liar,
met me,
but that...
you can believe that nobody would make a pass
No,
at
but
me.
there's...
Well, I know what you mean.
you do trap a man in things he said.
Maybe that was my trouble.
You know, maybe that's it. Yes. Yeah, you just blew your chances with me. I always heard that there were all those guys who chased the ladies around, and that was one of the things you had to brace yourself for when you got out there.
No,
say,
that's
by
nonsense.
God, you get over in your corner of the room, and I'll stay in mine, and let's
Well,
talk
they're
about this
safe today
strip
because
buster.
nobody chases the ladies around, so
Yeah.
if you get what I mean.
I do. What's
happened?
Do you have a
I
theory
don't know.
about
Yes, we're overpopulated.
what makes people
Has to be straightened out.
turn out the way they do, that way?
Overpopulation. The men get feminine and the women get masculine.
And it has to do with the sheer numbers of people because they don't get enough
I would think
attention
so.
from their parents, possibly?
I would think so.
Or the
no,
wrong...
no. I think the population problem.
They always blame that on women, you know. If a young man has an overprotective mother, that's the
Everything is
cliche.
blamed on women anyway.
Yeah. So,
But they're trying to put that right.
yeah. And you hope they do.
I think they will.
Yeah. We have to take a pause. We will be right back after this pause. Stay with us. I feel I have to ask this. Everybody says that Garbo had something that no one ever had before or since. I'm willing to believe that this is not true.
No, this is true.
Is it?
Yes, I think so. She had a real mystique and a real gift for movie acting.
And what is it? If I were in the room with her and their camera were there and she were here and I could see her on the set of Camille, would I see that in that room?
Yes, I think you would.
Yeah.
I think she was mysterious, is mysterious.
Have you met?
Yes, many times.
Yeah.
She's charming and sweet and nice and funny, but she certainly photographically had something that nobody else had. I think that's what made her. You don't become that famous for no reason.
Do you get the feeling that she got pleasure from her career, though? She seems not to.
Yes, I think she did. I think everybody has a different way of living, you know. They have to some people have happy natures, I have a happy nature, so I have a good time, you know.
You do?
Yes, I do.
You ride, you play tennis,
Yeah.
play golf,
Yeah.
swim.
Yeah,
I know you're a ferocious
Bicycle.
swimmer.
yeah,
You cook.
yeah.
If I tell you...
I work.
And you work.
And I work. I clean the house and wash the dishes and do what everybody else does today.
You know how to clean a sink and all of those things.
And I enjoy it enormously. You know, but I have I'm a compulsive overworker. It's a let-off to me, so I enjoy that.
They say, someone said once we have no way of knowing if Garbo ever read a book. Have you read a book?
Yes, I've read a few.
Yeah.
I can read.
Yeah. Are you, are you a compulsive reader?
Am I compulsive all the time reader?
Yeah, I doubt if I've read anything on the current bestseller list, for example, and I just wonder if...
No, I'm a funny reader. I'd like to read about people. I wouldn't say I was a brilliant creature, but I'm interested in people. But I'm physically a very active person. I get rid of a lot of energy that way. That's why I don't have to take the stuff very often, or the stuff. You know, because I have a lot of vitality.
Yes. Do you mind if I reveal that there's no actual illicit drug over there at all, but merely something that keeps the lips from dry?
Lips.
Yeah. I think I didn't want the audience to worry. But
I don't think they would.
when you were doing Lion in Winter, for example, would you read historical biographies of the character you played?
Yes, I would.
Do you think
I
that's
read everything about her that I possibly could read, because I thought she was a fascinating character. And I thought he was, and I thought it was a wonderful relationship. And I enjoyed doing that picture very, very much I hadn't worked for a number of years then. I hadn't worked for 7 years. And I really enjoyed doing that picture with Peter. He's a wonderful actor.
Yes, he said
Wonderful
he would do
actor.
anything for you. He was here one
we
night.
just got on great. I hit him right in the jaw once. Right in the jaw.
What had he done
As
to you?
hard as I could hit. We were sharing a makeup man.
Yeah.
And he wasn't working, and I was working, and I sent for the makeup man. They said he's with Mr. O'Toole. He happened to be O'Toole's makeup man. So I just I was way down the basement of the monastery at Montmajour in Provence. And finally I sent for him again, and he didn't come. So I walked upstairs, and I got hysterical as I saw myself in a rage walking along. I lost my rage, and I opened the door of his dressing room. And there he sat, and he turned around, and I biffed him. You want me to show you?
Sure.
Right now.
We're near the end.
I biffed him that way, and then I biffed him that way, and I said, the next time I send for the makeup man, send him. So I went back, roaring with laughter. I really socked him. He was dumbfounded. Did him a lot of good. I think does everybody good to be hit.
You think it improved?
So I got down, and in no time at all, Peter came down with crutches, his leg all bound up, his head all bound up in bandages, came onto the set.
Make you feel guilty.
Funny to make me feel guilty.
And then you caused an accident with your niece the other day. You're sort of a dangerous person to know in some ways.
Imagine.
Yeah.
I'm over-enthusiastic.
Yes. Do you mind if I mention that your niece was riding a horse and you applauded?
Scared the horse, and she shot up into the air, turned a somersault, and fell on her back. She was all right, though.
Yeah.
She didn't mind, and it made her the center of... She could show how well she behaved, not a tear.
We'll be back after this message with Katharine Hepburn. Stay with us. I'm back talking to Katharine Hepburn, a promising actress who recently had a job with the American Film Theater. There's a legend about you that you can sleep when other people can't.
Yes.
What is the secret of that?
Clear conscience.
Well, for those of us for whom it's too late for that, what do you recommend? People who watch this show, particularly who watch watch late night television,
Are desperate.
Again, yeah, many times, and you're getting me for that thing I said earlier. But many times, it's not the last thing they watch at night. They stay up and they say, God, please get a man on who would tell us how to sleep. And I've had a sleep expert on, but is there a secret? Do you lie in the same position? I always thought that would help. Lie on your back.
I just think I'm an old bore, and I just go to sleep. I lie down, I go to sleep. I do what I'm supposed to. I come on the program, I talk. I'm supposed to talk, I talk. I go to bed, I sleep. I have some food, I eat it. This doesn't seem fair. I'm uncomplicated.
You're uncomplicated.
Yes.
You can see that.
Rather stupid, I would think. Probably.
I guess you're not a joiner, obviously, and you avoided those cults and groups out in Hollywood. And then in New York in the 30s, there was that legendary group of wits, Benchley and Thurber.
Yes, they were just a little bit older than I am. I was their victim.
You were a target rather
Yes,
than
I was a target, because I was constantly making an ass of myself. So I fed them.
Do you think you'd have enjoyed them if you were...
I did. The ones
age?
I knew I enjoyed very much. They were fascinating, but it was a different sort of a lingo. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was a lingo just sort of maybe 10 years older than I. Just a different lingo. Mm-hmm. Just the way you're a different lingo. We talk okay, but we're really fundamentally a different lingo.
Are we? I feel very in tune with you some way.
That's my business.
That's right. Do you mean when you smile at me, it's acting?
Putting on the charm.
All right, now I'm going to ask you something
Yes.
really, really embarrassing. And do you remember me as an actor at all? Hello?
Do I remember you as an actor?
Mm-hmm.
I've been told I should.
Well, we were in a play together. Is this
Are you sure?
terribly unkind? Well, there's my answer. Did you say, are you sure?
Yes.
We were at Stratford, Connecticut together. I was a child. I was an apprentice. I was still in school. And I had one line in The Merchant of Venice. I had a beard. You were not even on the stage when I was on. And I had one line in that play. And I was able to write home and tell everyone that I was playing with Katharine Hepburn in the summer.
Oh,
it was really
dear.
something.
And what was the line?
Oh, I knew you'd do that. Gentlemen, my master Antonio is at his house and desires to speak with you both.
And is that the way you said it? That's unkind. Oh, that's brutal.
I've never,
That's unfair.
I've never walked off on a
That's
guest.
right. Well, you should go.
And
And
only.
you just move out, and I'll take over because I think you're right. You're right.
Oh dear.
And I'm sorry. You've got the property in Montauk. You can live a happy life.
That is how I said it, and well, how would you?
I had to say a line like that once, and I got fired too. Did they keep you or let you go?
They kept me, possibly because you never saw my scene.
Dear.
Yeah, it was. There were only 2 men on stage at the time. One night, you fell down. We came running on. There was another scene where I was behind you in a crowd, and they had cables, and you went wham, coming on.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that. And your costume had snaps here, and it drove them into your arm, and it was very painful, and it bled. And you went right through that scene. I couldn't see a trace of pain on your face. And afterwards, you were really kind of badly mangled.
Never be beaten by a snap. That's
That's the motto of the
That's the
theater.
best.
Yeah.
No, I don't
That's
think.
it.
I think when you're really concentrating, you don't feel anything like that at all. I truly do believe that. I think you just don't feel. You. That's why I think you can play when you're sick.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you achieve pure concentration, it's like mesmerism. You know, you just.
Terrible things have happened to people on stage, and they've gotten through it and then come
Yes.
off and faint
Yes,
or
or
something
die.
like that. Or die.
Or die. Yes.
You're looking into the wings.
Well, I'm looking to see if there's a chair
A chair.
for me to die in.
Oh. Is that how you'd like to go in some very theatrical manner, falling into the drum or into the
in
pit?
bed. Die in bed. Go to sleep.
Just go and not know that you went.
That's right.
Can I ask you if you think you go anywhere after you die?
No, I don't think you go anywhere. I hope you just lie on the ground,
Yeah.
happy, at rest at last.
But at rest implies being conscious in some way of knowing.
Don't
you're
have to
asleep.
rake any more leaves. No, I just think it's just fine. I think I think that would be fine.
Because
I don't feel that. I never have felt the slightest interest in the next world. I think it's here, and I think anything good that you're going to do, you should do for other people here, and not do anything to make yourself have a happy time in the next world, you know.
If it's
I
there.
mean, that really goes back to the Egyptian days when I was buried with all my jewels to show that I was rich, and I'd like to stay rich.
Yeah. That affects the way you lead your life, though, that conviction. I mean, if people haven't made their minds up on that
No,
point.
I don't believe in religion. I think religion, I believe in Christ, and I believe in the example of a perfect human being. That he certainly proved that if you can live for other people away from yourself, you will be happy. And if you live for yourself, you will be unhappy, and you will then not be able to sleep or do anything else. Finally. And I think that insofar as people live, and I really believe this very passionately, insofar as people do live with the other fellow in mind, they have to be happy. Because it raises you up, you know.
Sort of golden rule.
I think so. I really think so. And I think insofar as that can be observed, after all, we have no notion as to what the next world is, if there is one. So there's no point in that. But it's always been, I hear a lot of people saying, well, I don't know the difference between good and bad. I know totally, for myself, the difference between right and wrong. Totally. I know this because wrong makes me very uncomfortable and right makes me very happy. And I don't think it's so very difficult to know when you're doing the right thing and when you're doing the wrong thing. And I think each person, the right thing, the wrong thing varies. But committing a stinking act to someone else should make you unhappy. If it doesn't, you're diseased.
Yeah.
And you certainly are miserable.
Right. Somebody said morality is self-evident.
Absolutely self-evident. And decent behavior in relation to our fellow man is the source of tremendous joy and tremendous lack of pain. I mean, you can rise above, with the spirit, you can rise above anything. If you're totally dedicated, as Christ was to someone else, to other people, to the notion of other people, then he could rise above all pain and all sorts of things. And I believe that. I do believe that entirely, and I think many, many people practice it. I think we are in the habit today of picturing and hearing about nothing but the dismal failures. But I think many, many people, many women with children, you know, young children or children who have a tremendous problem, live the lives of absolute saints. People do the most extraordinary things for each other. People have done the most extraordinary things for me. And then said to me, "Aren't you wonderful?" And I think, "Oh God, aren't I wonderful? Aren't you wonderful?" So that I think I think there is a way of, you know, I think man can get better and better and better. That's why I'm interested in elevation and not sort of settling for the dismal sort of washout. I find this a bore.
The sameness of things.
I mean the person who obeys no rules, doesn't do a goddamn thing for anybody else, refuses to do anything for anybody else, thinks entirely about themselves, and wastes it and spends it and tosses it. I can't be terribly interested in them.
We'll be back after this message with Katharine Hepburn. Stay with us. Can you tell a friend if he's lousy in a film or in a play? How do you handle it? You know that feeling of
Oh, I
sitting
think
in
it's a great bore to tell someone you could have been better. I hate people who come back and don't tell me I'm wonderful.
Yeah.
What the hell can I do about it if I've done it? If I've done it?
You meant to be good.
Well, I mean, obviously I was trying as hard as I could.
Yeah.
I think it's terribly, you know, I think that's the biggest bore in the world.
Have you noticed that I haven't asked you any of the things that, like, do you smoke pot? Would you appear nude in the movies? And what else? And what's your most embarrassing experience? I hope you appreciate that.
Any of the absurd things that you usually ask people. Well,
thanks a lot.
I assume that.
Oh, yes, it was hard for me.
I had you terrified.
I did make an exception.
Thank you very much.
I want to ask you something. Can I mention Betty Davis's name one more time?
Yes, you may.
I asked her once if she could detect a parallel between how her private life was going and how her work was going. You know, in an actor's life, does the one affect the other adversely or favorably?
Yeah, well, I think usually favorably. The worse your private life, the pleasanter it is to go into a land, the Never Never Land.
To get away from it.
And then if you're very, very happy, the Never Never Land is. So most actors, I think, fundamentally can use the miseries. I think that's why I'm so happy. Some people can't use the miseries, you know. I think any kind of an artist generally can use the sorrows and the miseries for creative effect. Terrible thing to say, because it's not very, you know, flattering to their characters, but it is true.
But it makes you lucky to be an artist, isn't it, in a way? Because other people don't have any place to use
Oh,
those
I think
miseries.
you're lucky to be an artist.
Yeah.
Well paid, especially this kind, if you can call it an artist.
Yeah. Forgive me, are those teeth your own?
Yes.
They're they're, of course, the most famous teeth in the world, I suppose, and they're...
There's a crooked bottom one, but it doesn't show so much.
But every master...
It's lucky they're my own, because I show them all. I saw a picture of Walter Houston, me roaring with laughter, and you could see the wisdom teeth. They're my own, too.
You have your wisdom teeth?
4 of them.
What good are they?
Well, they're just waiting to hold everything in someday. Terrible thought.
What is your size, by the way? Do you mind revealing that? What actors are you taller than?
Well, I'm 5'7" and a little plus.
That makes you taller than Robert Taylor.
Taller than yesterday.
Not taller than
No,
Cary
the
Grant.
ladies, I was tall, and I was got rid of several times because I was just tall. And now I'm short. So when I play with the young girls and I want to dominate them, I have to have them walk on the downside of the hill or off the step or something, because I like to be taller than they are.
Were you taller than Tracy
Yes,
then?
well, I was tall. No, I wasn't. Spencer was about 5'11".
Ah.
But mind you, when you put on high heels, you know, there you go. You have an advantage. And he slumped and I stood up straight.
What else did they say was wrong with you in those days?
Practically everything.
Voice?
Well, voice, Tallulah Bankhead said, Kate has the most terrible voice I've ever heard. You go into a theater and you nearly die for the first 5 minutes. And when you come out, if anybody else talks, you can't stand it because they're so dull. So somebody else said I had a voice that sounded like nickels dropping into a slot. So it's loud and clear. But like anything, if you live long enough, as I have, you get an affection for something that irritates you. Because you miss it when it's gone. Say, where's that noise, you know?
Can you disguise it if you had to? Can you call up a friend and be someone else and fool them?
No, I don't try to. I just say hello. And if I don't want to talk to them, I say, I'm sorry, this is a sister. What can they say? They can't say, oh, you're not. Because I have 2 of them.
Do your sisters sound like you, though? Would I know?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
One sounds better and one sounds worse.
Yeah. Well, by the way, did you or did you not?
They'll never know which one.
That's right. I was just going to say, you've covered everything there. Did you or did you not do commercials for herring on the radio once?
Never did a commercial.
No,
and if I had done a commercial, I wouldn't have done one for a herring.
I know there was an imitation of you one time.
Yes, there was.
Have you,
But not very good imitations.
No one's ever done you
But
right
some that I don't know
on the
who did
nose.
that. No, not really. I don't. My name's Eva Lovelace, Lovelace. I added the lace. Do you smoke? I do. Really, I do. That's what they imitate.
That's how they say.
Yeah, 90 years ago.
And the old calla lilies line.
Calla lilies are in bloom again. Such a strange flower. I carried them on my wedding day, and now I place them here in memory of someone who is dead. That was the line.
While you're here, can I ask you one other thing? During the blacklisting period in Hollywood, I find that period entirely incomprehensible. I've read as much as I can about it. There's a recent book by Mr. Canfer on the subject. And I just wonder, 2 things about it are never satisfactorily explained. Why people put up with the brutal, rotten treatment that they got from the committee and all on that side.
Well, I think they had to, because I think it was popular. Anything that's popular, just the way it's popular to be anti-Nixon, it was popular to be terrified of the communists.
Mm-hmm.
And the papers sort of took the sides. I mean, there were a lot of very reactionary papers.
Yeah.
And they'd give a headline to the fact, Hepburn, a communist, was a favorite cry.
Your name didn't come up.
Oh,
in that.
yes, yes.
Did it?
My name came up because I did a speech about censorship.
Oh, yes.
In movies.
I've read that speech somewhere. Yes, you
I was
did.
against it. Well, I did two things, and that was in the Gilmore Stadium. And I, like a silly, I thought of wearing a white dress, and then I thought they'd call me the Dove of Peace. So I wore a pink dress, and then right in their hands.
Bad choice.
And they picked that up. And then they were very cagey about me for a while, and then tried to force me to sign all sorts of things, and I wouldn't. But it was very difficult. I mean, it was fine with me, because if I didn't work, I still had money enough to live. But it was very, very tough on people who had families whom they had to support, and they really, literally could not get a job.
Some were literally killed by it.
Absolutely killed by it.
Yeah. Can I ask you how Mr. Tracy felt on that subject?
He just said, remember who shot Lincoln. And he didn't go in for politics.
An actor.
That's right.
Yes. There's something about you. I know that as long as I've been in this game, people have said, I don't suppose there's any chance you could ever get Katharine Hepburn. And I've always said I assume not, because I know years ago I worked in talk shows, and you at one point said, I have a quick answer for that. You know, actors belong.
Yes.
And it's unbelievable to me, I guess, really, that we're sitting here. I have a feeling I'll wake up, and they'll say, oh, you know, and they'll say, well, you got to get to work. And by the way, Hepburn isn't going to show up. I don't know what that is. I've fallen in love with you at least 7 times that I can count in the past hour or so.
Continue.
Before I come apart, I think we should take a message. We'll be back. I'm so grateful to you for being here, and I'm looking forward to the American Film Theater project. A Delicate Balance, Edward Albee, is your play.
Yep.
And I guess we mentioned earlier
Paul
that
Schofield.
Paul Schofield will be in that. And they also have Olivier and the Three Sisters and Rhinoceros and Homecoming and full-length The Iceman Cometh,
Yeah,
which is a real...
yeah, 4 hours.
Well, the time has come to say goodbye to you, and I can't think of anything I'd less rather say to you. I have never enjoyed anything more than this in my life. And,
You know something funny?
what?
I've enjoyed it too.
Have you really?
Yep.
Oh, that's great.
I have. I didn't know whether I would or not,
Yeah.
but I have.
Well, I'm glad, and I'm glad for the handful of people who got to sit in the studio to see you do this unexpectedly the way you did. I know your feelings about privacy. I don't know what to say. I realize the rarity of this event, and I'm damn proud to be able
Thank
to say
you
that I
very
know you, and thank you for being so generous and so
Well,
wonderful.
you can't do it alone, so thank you
Okay.
very much.
We'll see you, and good night.